record in CR 2023-00046. Appearances are the same, and we last left off in the middle of cross-examination of Dr. Molaoli. Attorney Obi.
Thank you, Judge. Dr. Molaoli, you testified earlier today that you believe your professional counselor license was refused due to race, color, national origin, and conviction record. And the judge covered some of your reasoning in each of those categories. I want to clarify with regards to your conviction record that your conviction record did not prevent you from obtaining and renewing your professional counselor training license. Is that correct?
You asking me as a statement, or you want me to say yes or no?
It's a yes or no question.
He did hamper. He did.
It prevented you from obtaining and renewing your training license?
Did.
Well, Dr. Molaoli, we went through your testimony here on cross-examination in some detail, and you testified to the fact that you did obtain a training license, and that training license was renewed, and we reviewed those dates. So are you now changing your testimony?
Not changing statement. That's my view. It did affect. I'm not changing my statement. That's an addendum that I say it somewhat affected.
I believe you're answering a different question. So let me clarify. My question is, your conviction record did not prevent you from obtaining and renewing your training license. Is that correct?
It did hinder. You're not going to make me to change my statement. It did hinder.
Okay, Dr. Molaoli, I understand that it made it harder for you to get a license. Yes. I understand that. That's not her question. Her question was, did it prevent you from getting your temporary license or renewing it?
It did in some instances, yes.
It prevented you. You never got a license because of the conviction record.
I did get the license. It doesn't mean that it did not hamper. It did hinder in more.
Okay, but that wasn't the question. The question was, did it make it harder? The question was, did it keep you from getting a license?
It somewhat kept.
And just to clarify, I wanted to ask about both the training and the temporary license that we went through in some detail earlier in your testimony here today, Dr. Molaoli. You did obtain and renew both a training license and a temporary professional counselor license, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So your conviction record did not prevent you from getting those licenses, correct?
You're not making me change the statement. You are changing the question to the way you want me to respond to that. I did respond that it hampered in some instances.
But I'm allowed to ask the question that I want answered, not the question that you want to answer.
And I think I've responded to that.
Well, actually, you're non-responsive. The question you must answer, either yes or no, was, did having a conviction record prevent you from getting a training license? Did you get the training license?
I did.
Okay. Did your conviction record prevent you from getting the temporary counseling license?
Yeah.
Did you get a temporary counseling license?
I did get that.
Okay. I think your questions have been answered, Attorney Obi.
I can move on. The next, I just want to address the dates of discrimination, which you listed in your ERD complaint. Began in May of 2022 and ended in December of 2022. And I wanted to ask you, what discrimination happened in May of 2022?
Discrimination of what?
Well, I'm asking you because those are the dates you wrote in your ERD complaint. Was there just some discrimination that happened to you in May of 2022?
Do you have a particular record that you're pointing to?
No, I'm just asking you because those are the dates you provided. Let me ask the question differently.
I
Is
can
it-
look at the record. If you want me to specifically look at the record, I can look into that 014 to give you a,
We're not looking at exhibits right now, Dr. Molaoli. We're done looking at exhibits. I'm just asking you, as you sit here today, if you recall any discrimination happening to you in May of 2022.
I don't recall.
Okay. And do you recall any discrimination happening to you in December of 2022?
Yes,
What discrimination was that?
I think I responded to that question, but if you're asking the same question again, I'll respond to it again. I indicated exactly that the respondent staff were racially animated towards me or over the counter when I'm trying to seek services.
Well, we hadn't discussed, I don't believe we discussed that happening in December of 2022. Are you saying that's when you visited the Department of Safety and Professional Services Customer Service Desk?
I would like you to understand that I went to that over the service desk more than 3 times. I want you to be understanding of that. I went there more than 3 times. It's not just in September or in November. I went there multiple times, not once, not twice.
Okay. Dr. Molaoli, do you know of any person who failed to pass one of the required exams and received a regular professional counselor license in Wisconsin?
I cannot speculate. You're asking me something that I don't know.
I'm not asking you to speculate. I'm asking you if you know of any person, such person.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Either you know or you don't know.
I don't know the answer to that question.
I'm going to ask the judge to respond because he's non-responsive.
Yes.
You either know somebody who did or you don't know somebody did. It's not a speculation. It's either a yes or a no. So she
Well,
wants to know, do you know anyone who didn't pass the exam, but yet still got the full license?
Your Honor, my answer is
I mean, my answer is no. I don't know of anyone. You know, you might know somebody that got one. So that's what she's asking. Do you know anybody who did? You either do or you don't. It's not a trick question.
I don't have an answer to that question, Your Honor. I really don't.
Okay,
I
so
would
you
like
don't.
to
So you don't know of anyone who
I
got
would
one.
like the record to reflect that I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, so I'm going to
Yes.
take that as he does not know of anyone.
All right. Well, those are all of the questions I have for Dr. Molaoli. Thank you.
Okay, now, Dr. Molaoli, you now get the opportunity to clarify, if you want, for the record, any of your answers to the questions that Attorney Obi asked you. Okay, so all the questions she's asked you this entire time, there are some questions that were yes or no, right? But you would have liked to explain a little bit more. Now's your chance to clarify your answers if you feel that they need further clarification. So what would you like me to know? And it's only to the question she asked. So if she didn't ask you about oranges, you can't talk to me about the oranges. Okay?
I understand.
Okay. I just want to make sure you understand because this isn't what you do every day. And I recognize that, sir.
Yes,
So
this is what you want to do, Your Honor. But also at the end of it, you wanted me to respond to a yes or no. Where
well,
I said
that's because that's what the questions are. Okay. It's not that I wanted to, it's what it requires, either a yes or a no. So now's your chance to tell me more than yes or no. Okay.
I would like to clarify. The record, Exhibit 105, correspondent Exhibit 105,
Okay.
106.
Okay.
The only reason that compared that F was due to the malfunction of the NBCC equipment. And let that be clear. And further, the racial animus suffered before the start of the exam, the treatment that I was subjected to.
And what treatment was that?
The treatment of being aggravated, and I see other people were being scanned once. And when it came to Nebetsky, I was scanned more than 3 times.
And by scan, you mean your fingerprint?
Talking about the fingerprint.
Okay.
When we are inside the exam room and I'm trying to raise my hand and the adjudicators or the proctors are not trying to be receptive.
Okay.
Thirdly, when I asked the the Pearson's View or the Pearson's View staff to help me file a grievance, she was very non-compliant.
Okay. Anything else?
I would also like to clarify that the respondent staff over the counter desk have made my livelihood very difficult when it comes to the licensure extension. It's after a
Wait a minute.
long,
I'm having a hard time hearing you, sir. Okay. The respondent staff made your life very difficult, and then I lost you.
just say livelihood. I say respondent staff over the counter, in person, over the phone, they make the livelihood of applicants. When I say applicants, I'm talking about being very difficult. It's like they're out there to get me because of
And
the file.
and give me a specific example of how they made your livelihood difficult.
The approach, the way they speak to me, the retaliation, calling the security guard around me to have me interrogated like as if I was a common miscreant or a common criminal. And that fits the description of the racial animus surrounding licensure. We're not just discussing an issue of a repugnant exam, which is a biased exam, which was failed. It was not intentional. It
Okay.
has complexities.
Okay. Now you've already talked to me about when you went to the counter at one point during one of the several times that you've been there, that somebody made a derogatory comment of, "Oh, here's that black man again. He still doesn't get it." What else happened at any of these encounters directed at your race or your national origin?
The file complaints with the Department of Safety and Professional Service, which is the respondent. The original initial time when I requested for an extension, originally, I left the particular paperwork with the particular staff. I think his name is James, on top of my head. And I gave him that complaint. And to this day, I can't even tell you where that complaint went.
Okay.
Whether acted
Okay.
according, did it.
Now-
So in other words, they retaliated.
Okay. So this was an application or this was a complaint based on how you'd been treated?
It's a complaint that allow me to
Okay. I'm just trying to understand. Okay. So, and to this day, you don't know what happened to that complaint.
Your Honor, we are talking about 021, and I would like to make sure that to make notice of that complaint. The
Hold on.
complaint.
Let me find it. Let me find it. You gotta let me catch up to you.
Take your time, Your Honor. 021.
Okay. Hold on one second.
It's not my profession. I'm not a lawyer by profession, nor a judge. Zero to one.
Yes, I'm looking at that. That says that you sent that by fax or US mail on February of 2022. Now your testimony is that you handed it to somebody. So which is it? Did you mail it? Did you fax it? Or did you hand it to someone?
Allow me not to distort my discussion. The original copy was mailed out to the respondent's subcontractor, the Pearson's View. So the original copy was sent out to these people, and I did hand in a hand copy to the respondent staff. James, I can't recall his other name.
Okay. All right. So this is a complaint based on what you experienced at Pearson View, and you
Yeah.
gave a copy of that to the respondent. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. And whatever that I went through, it's outlined, listed 1 through 6.
Okay, we already talked about that. That's not evidence. Okay, this is something that you sent to an accrediting body. It is not the respondent. And even if you gave the respondent a copy, it's a courtesy copy because they don't control the test. They don't have a duty to respond to you. You weren't complaining about the respondent. You're complaining about what you went through at the testing site. Okay?
Now we are talking about the examination, which you are trying to strike out of the discussion. We are talking about the examination, the parameters surrounding the examination. I would like that to be taken note of.
I have through your testimony. That's what I'm taking it note. Everything you've told me about what happened to you, I've taken note of that. Okay? But what I'm asking you to do right now is this is your rebuttal. You said that the staff of DSPS made your livelihood difficult, that you experienced racial animus, and I'm asking you to elaborate on the racial animus that you experienced by the staff at DSPS.
I explained that, Your Honor. You want me to respond to that again?
Yes.
I spoke about the manner in which they were approaching me, which was the manner, the tone that they were using. It was very different from the way they were approaching other applicants.
Okay.
Not only that, I spoke about
now when you
when they
said the other applicants, so we got to slow down. I got to take this piece by piece. When you saw other applicants, what were the races of the other applicants?
that applicants look just like counsel. They look like Jeffrey, non-African. And I stayed there for a while, and I noticed that the manner they were approaching them was quite different from the way they approached me. Very different. And one could notice, this is what I do for a living. I'm a behavioral expert. This is what I
Okay,
do
so
for
when
a
you
living.
say they were different, in what way were they different?
The way they were talking to them, the way they were going above and beyond to help them. There was another Caucasian, white or European American young lady who lost her mind. She was from Minnesota. That's an example. She was explaining how she had now received a license in 2 years and she was almost losing it. And she raised her voice. She was extremely very boisterous and nothing happened. They did not call the they did not call the police. They didn't call the security guard on her. But me, who was trying to be assertive of what I was trying to explain, they ended up calling the security because I was Black. And does this conversation, does this discussion make people comfortable? No. The fact is a fact. The young lady rose her voice way over above the limit and nothing happened to her. The way they were talking to her, they were soothing her, but they did not give me the same treatment. Am I either too young or too naive to see this? It's very obvious. calling a security or a professional? What does that mean? A white person in authority calling a security guard on a black person, what does that mean? It entails something.
Anything else, sir?
Well, then we go to 023 to sustain and bold my discussion here. That was not the only the complaint that I forwarded. I forwarded 023. We forwarded a complaint to Deputy Donna Molland, and she never bothered responding back to us. We would like to enter that as an exhibit to offer this as evidence.
And what is this? Explain to me what this is.
This is a complaint which was directed to respondent, one of the senior staff, to look into what's going on and the things that I've endured. Anything to do with racially profiling me, the treatment when I go for my extensions over the counter, and anything to do with that. That's the complaint, and that's what it was trying to we brought it to our attention to see if we can get relief. (023) all the way through 026.
Okay, so what I'm reading here is that this is pertaining to what is called a continual license prejudicial denial. You've addressed it to a Deputy Donna Moreland and a Michael Tierney from a legislative liaison. And then you've copied Miss Belinda Boyle Pryor. And then you've copied DSPS Legal Services, a Cynthia Brown, who is a professional counselor, public entity, and chair lead, and a Tammy Shediger, counselor secretary at DSPS. And you describe here that you forwarded your requirements to have your license extended in May of 22, that you handed in a grievance serving NBCC. In August, you demanded in person to speak to a supervisor. You say that Charlotte called a security guard. Your previous testimony has been that you did not know for sure whether it was her, but that was something you suspected. Is that still correct? Or are you now telling me you know for a fact that Charlotte called? It was Charlotte that made the phone call.
Thought it was her because nobody was there. I was the only person who was there, and I could see, I could tell, because she kept on pressing one point. She kept on asking for the very telephone number, and I told her the very telephone number that you're asking me, it's entailed in 107. Everybody can see that. It's right there, 913-680-9131. And she kept on saying, we don't have a record of your telephone number.
Okay. Is there a reason you just didn't give her your telephone number when she asked you for it?
Your Honor, the way she approached me was very animalistic.
Okay.
I was trying to de-escalate, not give. I tried to make her look inferior.
Okay.
After all, she even confessed that she's not from that department. She was from a different department. I didn't want to look like as if it's another black man giving another time. After she passed those disparaging remarks, I was so done with her.
Okay. All right. All right. And then you have here that In August of 22, Tammy Buckingham, see, majority of this stuff in here is hearsay. You're telling me that you got an email update that they would not extend your license pending an exam. That's already been admitted into evidence. You've already spoken to me about the security guard. That's evidence. That's already there. I don't this exam facilitation management. That's not anybody here. The exam scheduled at the Chicago Pearson test site. Again, that is not anybody here. Let's see. In November, you say you faxed a form to the permit section and there was no response. That was November of 2022. It's a supervision form.
That was a.
And I don't know, was that for your training license?
That was, I believe, I think it was for the supervision.
Right, but was it to renew your training license?
I think so, whatever that license.
Okay, well, your training license was renewed in December of 22. That's already been in the record. And we've already looked at this renewal application. That's already in the record. And then you go on to talk about what your degrees that you currently have.
What page is that?
And your course descriptions, you have that.
What page is that?
25.
Okay.
And then I get to what's called an argument addenda. This is where you have to make argument to me, not on a piece of paper. And you've done that. It's your belief that DSPS is a dysfunctional state agency. You think that having somebody make and wait the wait process is diabolical and prejudicial. That DSPS cashes money, checks, or forms of payment within days of receipt, yet no update on licensure permits. We already have the application status query that's been entered into evidence. We have that as to what's going on with all of these things. You have a comment here about your belief as to what staff who work remotely do. You have a comment on page 26 as to your belief as to backlogs. You have a statement as to your belief as to loss of income and medical contracts. You have a statement as to your belief as to the length of time it takes to return an email or a call. And you have a belief as to how long people have to wait on hold for a call. And then a conclusory argument. This majority of what you have on this piece of paper has already been in evidence, and the rest of it is not appropriate for evidence. Because it does not pertain to the case at hand. And it is also hearsay. So again, I just need you to talk to me. I want to hear from you. So what else would you like me to know in terms of the discrimination that you have alleged you experienced by DSPS that we have not already talked about, or you need to clarify based on Attorney Obi's questions to you, sir?
I think I said this before. I'm bringing specific evidence, and you are encumbering me from.
Well, this isn't evidence, okay? I've tried to explain to you what evidence is. Evidence is a 2-semester class. It's a full year in law school. I cannot give you legal advice. I cannot go to the details of explaining how it works, okay? I'm not allowed. I've tried the best I can, cutting really close to that line, but I can't. So, you know, objections have already been made regarding a lot of this stuff, and they continue, you know, it's just not evidence. Evidence is firsthand testimony. And that's what you're here for, sir. So is there anything else you want to tell me? Was that a no?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to close your you have no other witnesses, is that correct?
Witnesses are, there are witnesses that I would not like to be called. No, I'm not being bombarded or being confused. One moment.
I'm sorry. I'm having a you're garbled for some reason. Could you
What I'm
repeat that?
saying is, one moment I'm trying to present something, and one moment I'm stopped. And either way, I'm just half up getting confused. Either way, I'm getting confused because I'm trying to bring in my discussion on anything surrounding the case. You are preventing me from bringing it and saying it has nothing to do with the respondent. So,
well,
I can't.
well, I'm
I get it.
gonna explain this one more time, Dr. Molaoli. If you could please just listen, sir.
I get it.
The issues that you have with NBCC, how they administer tests, how the locations, what you endured at those testing sites does not have any relevance to this case because it is not something within the control of DSPS. Okay? So that's why it's not relevant. The only thing that is relevant for this case is what DSPS directly did, not through a third party, directly did to you. So I understand that all these things happened at these testing sites, whether it was lousy equipment, lousy proctors, people being non-responsive, fingerprinting you multiple times, treating you differently than the other people that were being tested. That is not a case that is before me, nor is that evidence in this case, because it has no relevance. Your suit here is not with NBCC. Your suit is with the Department of Safety and Professional Services. That means only things that are within their control. They could have picked another accrediting body called Apples. That doesn't mean that they're in charge of Apples. Okay?
But they
So,
regulate.
no, they don't. They're not in charge of how NBCC conducts anything. They only picked the body that does accreditation for these types of licenses. The state of Minnesota might have picked somebody different, but Wisconsin, for whatever reason, and I don't know how many different accrediting bodies there are for counseling licenses in the United States. It might be that NBCC is the only accrediting body for this type of thing, which means that every state uses them. I don't know. But what I am telling you is that they don't control what NBCC does. All they want to know from NBCC is, did you pass or did you fail? That's it. The only thing you need to provide is a passing score on any of the 3 tests, and you get your license. Your issue is with NBCC, and you're addressing that in another forum. But that doesn't have anything for what we're doing here today. I don't know how to make it any clearer to you, sir. So I need to know what they specifically did to discriminate you in terms of your race, your color, your national origin, and conviction record. And that's the only things that I can address, because anything else is not before me, nor do I have the authority to address it, even if I wanted to.
Right.
And I believe we've talked about every one of those 4 issues. I'm just simply asking at this point, you said there was nothing else further. You do not have any witnesses that you properly subpoenaed to appear for you today. I know that there is a witness that the respondent has brought forth that you're going to now be able to cross-examine. Okay? So when we get to that witness, you'll have full access to ask them anything you want that's relevant to this case. Okay? Any questions, sir?
Judge.
All right. Who wants to, it's the respondent's case now. Who do we want to, who are we calling as a witness?
Judge, can I just confirm that I got my last exhibit into the record? That was ERD 103 through 106.
Yes, you do. That's the Wisconsin DSPS credential and enforcement and the MBCC exam scores. They were admitted without objection.
Thank you.
So the exhibits we have thus far, respondent has 4 exhibits and that were admitted without objection. The complainant has 1 exhibit that I excluded, and that was what started the whole thing with the rebuttal statement to a position statement and explained the case law that says I can't even consider that. So that was excluded. I do have 1 complainant exhibit. That's complainant exhibit number 2, and that was admitted without objection. And that was ERD 56 through 59 for the complainant, and that was the complainant MBCC exam scores. I will go through the entire list of exhibits before we close evidence just to make sure nothing's been forgotten. But I find it easier, since I have to upload them onto my exhibit log, that we do it as we're doing it, and then I continuously press save so that I don't, in my stupidity, forget to save something that I should have saved.
Thank you for that clarification, Your Honor, and I'll turn it over now to my co-counsel, Attorney Simcox.
Attorney Simcox.
Yeah, Your Honor, we will call Tammy Buckingham, and I have texted her and asked her to join the teams, but I am also going to take a moment to call her. She should be on standby and should be on within a moment. But
Oh,
if
that's
it's
fine. I'm just, that gives me time, because now I'm going to type her name in.
okay,
And
just one moment.
We're gonna go from there. That gives me time to put that in there. While he's doing that, Attorney Obi, I've got Tammy spelled Tammi, and then Buckingham,
I think it's Tamie.
IE. Okay. And I'm going to need her email address. Do you have that?
I might be able to locate that if you give me a moment. I did have to log off of my my work platform in order to get my Teams meeting to work today. So,
Well, if not, I can ask her for it. I just need it for the hearing log.
yeah, I'm just looking at.
That's fine. I'll get it from her when she comes on. I just wasn't sure whether you had it handy while Attorney Simcox was looking for that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
I called and confirmed that she is attempting to log in right now. She should be on momentarily.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
There she is.
Okay. Hi.
Hi,
Okay,
guys
can you hear us and see us all okay?
I can hear and see you guys. Can you hear and see me?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Right.
Before we get started, what is your work email?
My work email,
Yes.
TAMIE
TAMIE.
.Buckingham
Okay.
at wisconsin.gov.
Thank you. All right. 158. All right. Ms. Buckingham, if you could raise your right hand, please. Do you affirm or swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. You may lower your hand. Attorney Simcox.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Ms. Buckingham, will you please state your full name for the record?
Tammy Buckingham,
And who's your current employer?
the Department or State of Wisconsin, the Department of Safety and Professional Services.
Thank you. I'm going to be referring to them quite a bit. If I refer to them as DSPS, will that cause you any confusion?
No,
Okay. How long have you worked at DSPS?
26 years.
What division do you currently work in at DSPS?
The Division of Professional Credential Processing.
And what's your current title?
License Permit Program Associate.
I'm sorry. It's license what?
License Permit Program Associate.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And Ms. Buckingham, I'll represent that the relevant time frame for our conversation today, what I'm going to be asking you questions about, is May of 2022 through December of 2022. Did you work for DSPS during this time frame?
Yes.
Did you work in the same role as the one you just listed?
Yes.
And your title was the exact same?
Yes.
Can you please describe to everybody what your responsibilities are in your role as a licensed permit program associate?
To review the required documents for the application or credential.
Okay. And as a licensed permit program associate, are you familiar with the process by which somebody is approved in the state of Wisconsin for a professional counseling license?
Yes.
And does DSPS play any role in overseeing and approving licenses for licensed professional counselors in the state of Wisconsin?
Yes.
Can you please briefly describe the role that DSPS plays in approving applicants to become licensed professional counselors in the state?
Again, I mean, we're reviewing the required documents for the license or application.
Ms. Buckingham, are you familiar with the name Dr. Molaoli?
Yes.
To the best of your recollection, have you ever processed any application materials for Dr. Molaoli?
Yes.
And I want to focus on that time frame I mentioned before, May of 2022 through December of 2022. Do you recall processing any application materials for Dr. Molaoli during this time period?
Yes.
Have you ever spoken with Dr. Molaoli or met him?
We have spoken, I believe, on phone calls, but I have not met him in person, no.
Generally, what was the nature of your conversations, if you recall?
I don't recall the specifics, but it would have been in regards to his application.
And as a licensed permit program associate, are you familiar, strike that question. Where do the requirements to become a licensed professional counselor in the state of Wisconsin come from?
The statutes and administrative code.
Is one of the requirements of becoming a licensed professional counselor in the state of Wisconsin that an applicant pass a particular exam?
Yes.
Okay. is this requirement to pass an exam before becoming a licensed professional counselor dictated by state statute or administrative code?
Yes.
Give me one moment, Ms. Buckingham, while I'm going to pull up an exhibit and share my screen. Ms. Buckingham, I'm showing you what's been marked as Respondents Exhibit 7, page 4. Also at the bottom of this exhibit, it has the bait stamp 128. This is a section, or excuse me, looking at this document. Are you familiar with what this document is?
It looks like it's the administrative code 45712.
Okay. Are you familiar with this section of the administrative code?
Not word for word, but yeah, I have seen it.
Okay. And in section 1M2D, it states, quote, that the individual passes one or more examinations under statute 45716 approved by the professional counselor section to determine minimum competence to practice professional counseling. Is this the code you referring to of where that requirement of passing an exam comes from?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move to admit this exhibit, bait stamp ERD 128 through 130, please.
It's been marked, it's been offered. Any objection, Dr. Molaoli? I'm sorry, sir, I couldn't hear you.
No.
Been admitted?
Ms. Buckingham, for licensed professional or counselor applicants, is there just one exam that they need to pass, or is there an option to take multiple types of examinations?
They are required to pass one of 3 national exams.
And these exams, are they specified anywhere in Wisconsin statute or administrative code?
I believe in the administrative code.
Okay, just give me one moment. And Ms. Buckingham, I am showing you what's been marked as Respondents Exhibit 7, page 10. It's bait stamped ERD 134 through 135. Looking at your screen, are you familiar with this document?
Yes, that will be the administrative code for professional counseling.
Okay. I'm going to draw your attention to section 4 of this part of the administrative code, where it says verification of the passing score on one of the following. And I'll let you read that to yourself. You mentioned there were 3 national exams. Are these the 3 national exams you were referencing?
That is correct, yes.
Your Honor, I'd move to admit this exhibit, bait stamped ERD 134 through 135, please.
It's been marked and offered as Respondents Exhibit number 6. Any objection, Dr. Molaoli?
Judge.
Hearing no objection, it will be admitted.
And I still have on my screen section 4 where it talks about the 3 types of exams. To your knowledge, the exams that are listed here, are these exams written or administered by DSPS?
No, they are not.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I will object.
And what's your objection?
The exams are not offered by the state. How is she in a position to know that?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding your objection.
How is the witness able to know that the exam is not offered by the state? How does she know that?
I don't believe that was the question. One moment, please. Let me go back. Hold on. The question was, to your knowledge, are the exams that are listed here, are these exams written or administered by DSPS? And her response was no, they are not. So she's saying DSPS does not write or administer these exams. What is your objection? I'm sorry, sir.
Give me a moment, Your Honor. It's fine, Your Honor. Let's move forward.
Okay, objection's been withdrawn. Attorney Simcox?
Okay, just a moment, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Buckingham, based on your professional experience, before receiving a licensed professional counselor credential in the state of Wisconsin, is the applicant required to show that they've obtained a certain amount of counseling experience?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how much counseling experience they're required to show?
They need at least 3,000 hours of supervised counseling experience for their full LPC.
Thank you. And when you say LPC, that's the licensed
Correct.
professional counselor credential, is that
Correct.
correct?
Yep.
Okay. And the 3,000 hours, is that dictated by DSPS or is that something from the administrative code or statute?
That would be in the administrative code or statute.
Okay. If an applicant for an licensed professional counselor credential has not yet passed the required exam or obtained the required hours of experience, is there a credential they can obtain while they study for the exam and gain counseling experience?
Yes, that would be the professional counselor training license.
Thank you. And based on your role, how long is a professional counselor training license valid for?
It is good for 48 months or 4 years.
Okay. And is that time frame dictated by DSPS or something else?
No, that would be the statutes or codes.
Okay. And Your Honor, we do not have this particular statute as an exhibit, but I would note for the court and ask them to be able to take judicial notice that this 48-month period is specified in WISStat section 457.13 sub 2.
One moment, please. You said it's 457 what?
0.13 sub 2.
I'm trying to pull it up as well, so I can just show everybody.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Just bear with me 1 second. All right, I'm going to share my screen before I ask Dr. Molaoli if he has any objection. Dr. Molaoli, can you see my screen? This is Wisconsin statutes. This is 457.13. It's entitled Professional Counselor Training License. And sub 2 is, if I can, highlighted on your screen. And it reads, a professional counselor training license is valid for 48 months and may be renewed at the discretion of a professional counselor section, notwithstanding for section 457.04 sub 6. A professional counselor training license authorizes the holder to use any title specified in section 457.04 sub 6 and to practice professional counseling within the scope of his or her training or supervision during the period in which the license is valid. Any objection to me taking administrative notice of this statute? Any objection, Dr. Molaoli?
Objection, Your Honor.
No objection?
No objection.
Okay, hearing no objection, I will take notice, administrative notice, that the professional counseling training license is good for 4 years pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 457.13 sub 2.
Thank you. And Ms. Buckingham, we just looked at the statute, but may a professional counselor training license be renewed?
Yes.
Does anyone outside of DSPS have to approve a renewal of a training credential?
Yes, that would be reviewed by the board liaison.
Okay, when you say the board liaison, what is the board you're referring to?
That would be the Marriage and Family Therapist, Professional Counseling, and Social Work Examining Board.
Is that also known as the professional counselor section?
That is a section of that board.
Okay. And could you explain what type of individuals make up members of this board, if you know?
It would be a licensed professional of, and again, in this case, it would be a professional counselor.
Okay. And you said that there's a liaison to this board, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that how DSPS interacts with the board when they have questions about things like a renewal of the training credential?
Correct. Yes.
To your knowledge, did Dr. Molaoli ever request to renew his professional counselor training license?
Yes.
To your knowledge, was the extension to his training license approved?
Yes.
Give me one moment while I pull up my next exhibit. Okay. Ms. Buckingham, I'm showing you what's been marked as Respondents Exhibit 5, which has been Bates numbered ERD 116, or excuse me, 113 through 117. This is an email chain, and I'm going to start with the Bates numbers ERD 116 through 117.
Well, hold on a second, because you just said it was 113 through 117. Is that not what we're looking at?
Yeah, so the full email chain, Your Honor, is 113 through 117, but I'm going to go to a specific part of the email chain.
Okay.
Ms. Buckingham, this is an email chain. And on these pages, there's a Tammy B at DSPS. Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. And on pages 115 through 116, ERD 115 through 116, you're interacting with somebody else named Tammy, spelled a different way, but it's Tammy Scheidegger. Who is Tammy Scheidegger, if you know?
She is the board liaison.
Okay. And take a moment to go ahead and read this email that was sent from Tammy Scheidegger to you, and let me know when you finished reading.
Okay.
And in this, Tammy is indicating that at one point she would deny the request to renew Dr. Molaoli's training license, but upon further review would allow one last 6-month for renewal. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you remember this interaction with Ms. Scheidegger after viewing this email?
After viewing this email, yes.
Okay. And do you know if Dr. Molaoli was ultimately provided with the 6-month extension for his training license?
Yes, he was.
So, Ms. Buckingham, we just talked about the training license, but I now want to talk about something else called a temporary credential for licensed professional counselors. Are you familiar with that term?
Yes.
Can you please explain what a professional counselor training credential is and how it differs from a training license?
The temporary, or that's the LPC temporary, and that is given to an individual who has met all the requirements with the exception of passing one of the 3 national exams. And then the professional counselor training license is required in order to obtain that required 3,000 hours of supervised counseling experience for their full LPC.
Okay, so if I understand your testimony correctly, the temporary credential, the only requirement that has not been met when that is granted is the passing of the national exam. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, but for the training license has it where you have not completed your hours yet, your mandatory hours, nor the national exam. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. How long is the professional counselor training credential valid for?
The training license or the temporary?
Thank you very much. Excuse me, the temporary credential. How long is that valid for?
The temporary is granted for 9 months.
Okay, and is that dictated by DSPS or statute or administrative code?
By the statute or administrative code.
Okay. Give me one moment. Oh, and Your Honor, I forgot to move to admit ERD 113 through 117, which was the email chain. I would ask that the court move that into evidence, please.
I was waiting for you to have a pause before I inquired. Any objection, Dr. Molaoli? Hearing no objection, it will be admitted.
Ms. Buckingham, I was just talking about the temporary credential, and you told me that it was valid for 9 months, and that's set by statute or administrative code. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm showing you something on your screen right now titled WSA 457.14. Can you see this document?
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with this? For the record, is that yes or?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Think no problem. And what is this document?
It is the administrative code
That pertains to
to a temporary license.
Great. Thank you. Your Honor, I would move to admit ERD 131 through 132, this section of the administrative code, into evidence, please.
Any objection, Dr. Molaoli?
No, Judge.
Hearing no objection, it will be admitted.
And may a professional counselor training credential be renewed, Ms. Buckingham?
The temporary may be renewed for an additional 9 months.
Okay. And is that renewal limitation? Is that just one time for a period of nine months?
Yes, that is correct. Just one time.
And is that renewal limitation dictated by statute or administrative code, or is that DISPUS's rule?
That's dictated by statute or code.
Okay. Ms. Buckingham, in your experience as a credentialing specialist at DSPS, have you ever seen any applicant for a licensed professional counselor credential receive more than one extension to their temporary credential?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions for Ms. Buckingham.
Okay. Dr. Molaoli, do you have any questions for Ms. Buckingham?
Like to cross-examine.
Okay.
Hi, Miss Tammy. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. You indicated that you have been working for the Department of Safety and Professional Services for 26 years, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I would like to draw your attention, Your Honor, drawing the attention on 050.
One moment, please.
Because I don't have it on the computer. I don't have that.
That's fine. I just got to get to it. Just bear with me, sir. My apologies. Got multiple screens up and I wasn't prepared. So let me get your stuff up, okay? Just have to scroll over to you. Okay, and you want ERD 50?
ERD 50. I have a couple of few questions for Mr.
All right, just hold on one second. Let me blow it up so we can all see it, and let me screen share. Okay. I think I have it there. All right, one moment, please. Let me know when everybody can see it.
Okay.
Tammy, I would like to take you through the online portal records that most of them are written by you. And,
Would you be able to enlarge that?
Sure.
Thank you. I apologize for interrupting. I just wanted to be able to read it.
Oh, no. I can make it as big as you want. We're just going to have to slowly scroll. And this actually starts on 49. Dr. Molaoli, did you want to go all the way back?
You're on a right round to that corner bottom and the second box. That's where I'm going to. Yes, you're on.
Okay. So we're actually on 49. Okay.
I would like 050.
I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Yes, 050. I'm looking at the online portal records, and I would like to draw your attention on January 11th, 2017. there was a request and a statement which was sent explaining how the events would not occur again. And what are we talking about in here? And then you instructed and you said how applicant will avoid such situation. This statement may be sent to the DSPS credentialing joint BT. Would you have
What-
any now?
Hold on,
Oh.
you have to ask a question. So I'm confused. What is your question as
The
far
question-
as,
My question was the statement which was sent in to discuss the criminal interaction with the law.
well, why
Well,
don't you just ask her, what does this statement mean?
What exactly does that statement mean? And if
Could we enlarge that again so I could see
Sure,
it?
I've got it highlighted. Can you see it?
yes,
Okay, so liaison requested a statement.
could you explain that, what that mean exactly? What does that entail?
And let me see if I can. That's the category to the left. Can you see that?
Okay, I guess that particular statement in and of itself, I wouldn't be able to provide it specifics without knowing the whole content or context of everything.
Your Honor, I would object to foundation. It hasn't been established that she's made all of these entries, and it says that the liaison requested this. She may not have knowledge.
Do you understand Attorney Simcox's objection, Dr. Molaoli?
Your Honor, I'm not, I don't think I'm trying to understand because she is the one authorized.
No, hold on.
request.
Hold on. What we've established so far is that she reviews the documents and that sort of thing. What you haven't done is establish that she was the individual that made this entry. So the objection is to foundation. You haven't tied her to this entry in this log, and she may not have the information that you're asking her if she's not the one who wrote it.
To ask
So
her a question
that's
if
the
she
objection.
responds.
So first you have to find out, did she
Okay.
make this entry?
Allow me to ask her that question. Ms. Tammy Buckingham, are you responsible for the statement in that particular box?
Based on the way this reads, I would say no, because I don't see that I initialed it.
I will
Okay.
move a little further down. November 1st, 2016. It also indicates where
Well, there's
somebody requested a detailed statement. 050, the lower box right there in the corner.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it goes into the top
Yes.
of 51. Ask her
51,
the same question as far as this, or we're going to get another objection from Attorney Simcox.
Ms. Tammy, are you responsible for those comments? Are you the one who edited those online portal records?
I would say based on the way this looks, I would say that that was not a comment that I put in there, no. Based on the fact I don't see my initials.
Do you have any idea who may have written those incriminating portal records? Any idea?
I would not have a specific name, no.
December 2020, 2022, December 27, 2022. Just down below, just a little bit, right there.
Mhm.
There was a renewal for the board liaison for 6 months. It says TMB. Are you responsible for that?
Yes, I am responsible for that.
Then how come the person who wrote the note just above that never initialed that? Yet your initial is just next to the memo right up there on that message.
Objection.
That-
Foundation requires speculation.
Yeah, that's not, you're asking her to guess as to why somebody else didn't. She's not the only person that works there. You need to establish that she's the only person that ever makes any entries. So maybe you might want to ask her, are you the only person that ever enters things?
think she's the only person. You know what I'm trying to get at with the foundation that I'm trying to get at here. Most of these notes, they're coming right the way through paragraph 2, 3 into 51. It's all initial TMB. It's most likely that she initialed this particular.
Well, let's look. I've got a TMB. Right here, I have a JNL. So you can't say that every single one of them. I've got an ASG right up here. So it seems that there's more than one person who works at DSPS. So I'm going to sustain his objection as to foundation. You can fix this by asking, are you the only person that makes any entries?
It's not going to serve any purpose because you have stated that she's not the only person. Most of the
Well, I
notes-
don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's what you have to ask. So ask her.
Your Honor, you sound frustrated with me the way I'm asking questions.
No, I'm just trying to. I'm at a
Already.
hard point. I can't be your
Sounds like
lawyer.
I don't have any
I
reason.
can't be your. I can't be your lawyer at the same time.
I'm not
So
asking you
let's
to
clean
speak
this
for me,
up.
Your Honor.
Let's clean
Not
this up.
asking
Ms.
you-
Buckingham, are you the only person that makes entries into what's this called? The application status query program.
No,
Okay. Are you required to initial or put any type of notification as to your entries when you are the person entering stuff?
yes,
Okay. Would you have any idea as to why other people have entered things and not put their initials in it?
no, I would not.
What other questions do you have for Miss Buckingham?
Your Honor, do you have any problem the way I'm asking questions to the?
Well, she's not understanding and you're asking questions that are not foundation. You can't ask her questions that she doesn't know. So you have to ask her, do you know or have reason to know, blah, 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 whatever that may be.
Tammy Buckingham, do you have an idea who may have written those notes?
No, I would not.
This was done on purpose to bring somebody who may not have written these particular notes. Because I was trying to establish a foundation here. Why they asking for a detailed statement regarding those criminal interaction with a conviction?
Objection.
was-
There's no
Well,
question.
hold on. I understand what you're trying to do, and I think you can just ask her those questions. Why don't you just ask her, when it comes to criminal convictions, what types of information are you required to obtain?
Stanley, will you answer that?
I don't do the processing part of this information, so I would not be able to give you any definite explanation as to what they require to be able to make the determination on that.
Do you know who does?
That would be handled by the legal department that reviews that information.
Okay.
May we ask who is the legal department? Is it one person, two people? Is it a panel?
There's multiple people that work in that department.
Who is the head of the panel?
That I don't have that name.
To the best of your ability, 26 years working with the department. Any kind of convictions that bar any candidate from receiving any licensure to the best of your abilities that you know? Any convictions that one should have that might not allow such an entity to have a license? Do you have any idea?
I don't do that, so I wouldn't be able to answer that for you.
You spoke about the board liaison, Tammy Scheidegger. Am I pronouncing the name correct?
Yes,
Tammy Scheidegger, and she's the board liaison.
correct.
And exhibit 054, you and Miss Tammy Scheidegger, you correspond back and forth. And I would like to ask you a few questions about that. It says here, this one is a bit unique on face value. I stand by my denial. Do you have an idea what she was trying to refer to?
No, I'm not a licensed professional, so I wouldn't be able to make that judgment call.
She also goes on further to say, based on the allegation, she would allow one last 6 months to renew of that particular IET. Any idea what she's talking about, what allegation?
There again, I would not be the one who was reviewing and making that judgment call.
Zero 040. Ms. Tammy, I will ask you something of a different incident which happened at the front desk. This was at the customer service counter interaction between the complainant, which is me asking you these questions, and one staff called Charlotte Satel. Were you made aware of the interaction that day?
No, I was not.
What kind of person is Charlotte?
I don't believe that I would have the right to give a description of that unless, I mean, I don't know how that has any relevance on what we're asking here.
You have been working there 26 years. You might be able to at least give a description of some of the people that you've worked there. You've worked there in that department for quite a long time, 26 years. You're close to
Okay.
retirement. So Charlotte, she's one young staff who works for the Department of Professional Services on and off. What kind of demeanor is she? Who is she? Do you mind shed some light on Charlotte?
She seems like a nice, knowledgeable individual.
Does she have any racial animus towards people who don't look like her?
Objection, vague, foundation.
That's foundation.
Try and rephrase your question, Dr. Molaoli.
Sometimes it's very difficult. Trying to phrase English is one of my most interesting language. It's not. Sometimes I feel like phrasing it in a different foreign language, and it's very difficult. Very difficult. This is an acquired taste of the language English. If I speak my most perfect language, French, she will not even be able to tell. I'm doing the best of my abilities to accommodate the English. I don't know how to rephrase that, Your Honor. We don't have a Charlotte Satel because it goes back to trying to create a foundation of what it was, the animus, and she's not here.
Well, the problem we have is that there's been an objection as to foundation. Now, I understand that this is an administrative hearing, so rules of evidence are somewhat very, very, very lax, and that this is an administrative tribunal as opposed to circuit court. However, generally, when it comes to character evidence, evidence of a person's character is generally inadmissible as it's irrelevant when it's being offered on the issue of that person's propensity to act in conformity with a certain character trait. So what you're asking for is for her to provide evidence or testimony as to certain characteristics or traits of an individual so that you can then say, see, that's what she is. So you can ask her about her job performance if she knows about her job performance, that kind of thing, but or if she knows about the incidents that you're saying happened on a certain day. But we're not going to get into what she knows about somebody's character. That's totally improper. We just can't do that.
Thank you. Don't have any other questions for Tammy. Thank you.
Okay. Any redirect, Attorney Simcox?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Miss Buckingham. You survived.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you. Have a good
Thank you.
afternoon.
You too, ma'am. All right. Are we good to go with another witness? Do we want to take a brief 10-minute break while you get your next witness, or would you like to do Attorney Simcox or Attorney Obi? I don't know which one is doing what next.
I think a 10-minute break would be ideal, Your Honor. I will secure Melinda Boyle Pryor, who's our next witness, and have her log on.
Okay. Let's take a, it's 2:43. Why don't we come back at about 2:55, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.